morning, y'all. Kachoya! How we doing? How we doing? Let's go! Juice! Previously on Kimba TV. If it does go to 82.5 or 85.7, 85.6, then, you know, those are all levels of here. So, if anything, brother, you could set an alert, and then just go enjoy the weekend, because you're not going to do anything if it does this. Well, you guys know what it is. Obviously, without blue gammas, it's a little bit hard, but if you guys remember what this box represents, yeah, I mean, if it can stay above the box, we're bullish, and then if we get back below, then we're bearish. Okay, pretty straightforward. So we'll keep an eye on that single print. And the box. If it really is bullish, it shouldn't lose the box. How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Steve Sosa, send it, Kimba, 5K green candle. Steve Sosa, send it, Kimba, 5K green candle, negative. Make sure you're caught up from last week's plan. Alrighty. Today is a great example. I mean, every day is a great example, but remember, every day, every trade, every price action is an opportunity for you to kind of test yourself and figure out if you're reading data like right off the bat. You know, you guys should be able to pinpoint out bad highs, bad lows, single prints, imbalances, and at least the bear div and the bull div. The bigger bear div and the smaller bull div, yeah. Rustag says, do you still think we go lower first before up? What do you mean? I've never thought that, Rustag. Yeah, so make sure you get caught up, Rustag. We always have a threshold. I say this every day, I feel like, and even if you're watching every day, I feel like you still don't understand. We always have a level where if it's above, it's bullish. Below, it's bearish. And there is no such thing as this is what we think. So the only anticipation we really do is with data. So for example, I think we're going to be able to have this bear div when we get there. I think this bull div is going to hold when we get there. But we don't do a I think it's going to go up or I think it's going to go down. We're prepared for both. Alrighty. So in this case, I don't know if you rewound it and got caught up on the 15-second alpha TA, but we've had this box for, I don't know, 4 weeks now. I think this is maybe the 5th week. And it's pixel fucking. So if you never drew this box with me, if you weren't there when I explained it for like 2-3 hours, what this means and what that value area high means and why we set the level there and whatnot, then your interpretation of this price action is going to be completely different than mine.
What the hell is even that?
All right. But this box, if you remember, we drew it April 2nd. So 19 days ago, we drew this box. And we talked about it 19 days ago about when the price action gets here, what I would be looking at. So if you need to, April 2nd highlight is what you might want to watch if you don't know what you're looking at. Sounds good? Any questions? Yeah, so, I mean, all we're doing is to see if we're going to get a failed auction here. I think it's pretty straightforward.
You know, one thing my trainer, he
Any
told
questions?
me, he said, what did he say?
The only
just
thing
told
that
us
we're
to
going
be
to see
prepared.
is if it makes a failed auction or not. Otherwise, we're going to go to 92, and then I'm going to be looking for a short at 92, and then where are we going to go to after 92? Everything's been talked about. Hopefully, nobody is getting got. All right. Any other questions? Wazzle says this is the first time seeing ES gap down and BTC gap up. Oh man, it happens all the time, Wazzle. Yeah. What is interesting is watch for everybody that's like, oh, it's decorrelating. Yeah, I feel like every time this happens, the reaction is pretty like stereotypical. It's like exact same. The people that have been in the game long enough that have seen this, dozens of times, know what to expect. The people that maybe like they think they remember what it did in the past, but they can't really remember. And then there's the people that, it's their first time seeing it type. But yeah, make sure you guys get caught up. Again, today is a great example of, are you completely caught off guard? If you don't have a plan in place, if you didn't have, I would just say that if you didn't think about this as a possibility, we talked about it, which is why we have the box there, but you don't want to get caught off guard. So if this was not something that you thought was possible, you definitely want to go back and get caught up. Otherwise, you just want to execute. I spent not only one day, but the subsequent days after explaining the whole concept of value, point of control, and the midpoint. That's why we drew this box. Okay.
You just said.
So, if you go back, you're going to notice that I'm already talking about, if we don't grab here and we rotate all the way back up here, what I would do. So, April 2nd, April 3rd, April 4th, those are the highlights. 3 weeks ago, we talked about this. So this is a great example of when I say you want to have your levels identified to the upside, levels identified to the downside. This is one of those days where it kind of puts you to the test on that. All right. So if we close this gap today, we are bearish. Yeah, but Retri, why didn't you rewind and listen to the TA from the morning? Retri, anytime that you show up late to the stream, you know that you can just go to the Monday simulcast and get caught up. But it's beyond the closing the gap. Isn't it just about like a failed auction, brother? Isn't it just about a failed auction? So if it really is bullish, brother, you wouldn't have a candle close below here. So like I would allow like a think if it was really bullish. Okay, but if it's not, then see ya. And you know what's crazy? We talked about that 3 weeks ago. Some people I feel like are completely like, oh my God, what is going on? S&P decoupling, what the fuck? But this is actually normal shit, ladies and gentlemen. It's like an easy ass Monday. Some of you guys are, I think, overcomplicating it. I think today's lesson is more about, is this your first time seeing it, DT? It shouldn't be for you, I would hope, DT. But are you keeping notes about when it happens? All right. It's more so just trying to understand how it happens. I've seen many times. It's not really how. Yeah, so what I usually say, DT, is don't spend too much time trying to figure out how it happened or why it happened, because I honestly don't think you're ever going to know the real reason. The question is probabilities. So based off of what you're seeing right now, how do you determine the increase in probability or decrease in probability of upcoming levels? So for example, you already know that you can make a higher high and still have a failed auction, right? Especially because why? Like, what's the thing that we're looking at right now, for example? Some people might be saying to themselves, wait. I thought a failed auction, you can't, blah, 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 blah. That's actually kind of incorrect. If you've been here long enough, you know that I like to actually sweep the weekend high or the Sunday high, right? And so you can still have a failed auction with a higher high, especially on a Monday. That's probabilities, right? I would say that maybe 88 to 93% of failed auctions that make a higher high, it's on a Monday. Right? So first things first is let's see what the reaction is here. Does it actually stay above or does it tuck right back in? And then once that is done, then we have to see VWAP and we have to see this level. Latuche, motherfucker, the math is the math. Alrighty. And then if this isn't a failed auction, then your probabilities of going up, the probabilities of going up increase. If it is a failed auction right here, then the probability that the price...
I said, are you strong? They said, I'm strong if you strong. I said, we strong then.
Okay? So, like, this is just literally a, test of everything that we've seen and talked about the last couple of weeks and months, I feel like. But it's the same shit every time, ladies and gentlemen. 10 more minutes left on the 30-minute candle close. Yeah, so DT, we don't know what's going to happen yet. If it actually can close above, then we're going to go to 92. Do you remember our conversation about when it gets to 92, I'm going to be looking for this, and this, and I'm thinking about shorting 92? And then do you remember what the target was that I said? And I don't even know how long ago we talked about this, but remember, we always have higher time frame, medium time frame, and smaller time frame plans. So make sure, if you don't want to listen to mine, then at least make sure that you have your own. Alrighty. Marco says, first time here, this looks good. What's going on, Marco? Let's get it. DT says, I feel you. Okay, thanks. Yes. What about sweeping the fire gas and going back in the box? I doubt it. You're probably looking at the ETH sweep, which is around 91.5. All right, but let's lock in. 10 more minutes, ladies and gentlemen, on the 30-minute candle close. Can we see the chart with the box? Yes, the CME. So this is ES. Okay. Biddy, spot, and then this is RTH. God, this is going to be crazy, this reaction right here, right? Because we've been talking about because ETH cleaned this already, right? RTH has not yet. Because if this is a swing fail, okay, and we're just bing bong ding donging through here, okay? If this swing fails, then this is going to be back in play. If it doesn't swing fail and it goes to here, then now structure has changed and we're looking for a higher low. And then this is the 92 to 82. I don't know where. Somewhere in here that we'll be looking for. All right. So you better not pull a fucking whoever that guy was and you never show anything. You never explain anything. Latuche, motherfucker, the math is the math.
Not enough Latuche.
Hey, where's my boy? Where's my boy? Hey, I'm gonna sound really pissy and then tell you I'm in a long. Where's Mr. I'm going to be pissy and then say I'm in a long? I'm going to have the most unnatural reaction to a position that I claim that I'm in. Akachoy. G-Box says, Kimba, spy down, BTC pumping. G-Box. Yes.
You just said.
So there's a couple things, G-Box. One is the only thing that really surprises me is that Bitcoin is pumping right now, because S&P is actually doing what it was supposed to do. And do you remember what I've been saying, not just last week, but the last couple of weeks? And what do I keep saying about the Bugammas building up for all expirations? And what is the lowest one for today? What was the lowest one on Friday? What was the lowest one on Wednesday last week? What was the lowest one on Monday? Because today we have 4530 as the lowest now. So let's just kind of work our way into the smaller time frames. If you remember, on the higher time frames and on traditional markets, we were bearish, right? We're bearish on S&P, right? In the medium time frame, once we get to 4500 or 42, I'm thinking about longing big, right? And I want to get into longs on Bitcoin and S&P. You guys with me so far? So that hasn't changed. All right. And then a little bit more on the medium to higher time frame, it's a little bit bearish as long as value and, Bugammas keep building. So this is doing its thing, and no long on my S&P asset yet. And you guys know that I'm really eyeing this, right? How hands up if you remember me talking about that single print right there on S&P. So the only difference is Bitcoin is not confluencing, and this would have been really close to its own single print longs down there, right? So that's okay. It is what it is. You just have to understand that sometimes it's going to be like this. Sometimes S&P might be dumping, but Boeing might be pumping. S&P might be. I mean, we had that during the war on terror, like during Obama, right? Economy wasn't doing that great, but all the military industrial complex stocks were skyrocketing, right? Especially like Dick Cheney, George Bush times, right? So S&P can go down and certain things can skyrocket. S&P can go up and certain things can dump. That's just how the markets work. Thinking or expecting, even worse, that it's always going to be a one-to-one correlation will fuck you up. And instead of being the guy sitting there so upset that, they're not correlated and demanding an answer as to why, you just have to understand that's part of the game. And that will happen from time to time. And so you're still going to have to take it level by level and look at the data. G-Box says, can we say it's a weak pump? Well, in your opinion, what is the definition of weak? So for me, a weak pump would be something that pumped without measurable data. So, for example, it pumped because shorts got squeezed, right? And longs didn't open. I might consider that weak. It pumped, but there was no volume. I might consider that weak. It pumped, but only because it had some sort of like weekend bull div, and not like an RTH absorption or exhaustion. So like timing, like if it pumped or dumped during the weekend, like a holiday weekend, like this weekend, or during Macaulay Culkin hour, it didn't do it with CME or RTH, et cetera, et cetera. So, but it depends on what you would consider weak, and then you would just look at the data yourself, G-Box. For me, I'm not going to dictate if it's a strong pump. Is it real? Is it not? It happened over the weekend. So for me, it's things like, well, if it's bullish, it's not going to go below the box. It's not going to go below this line. So for me, this is still bullish. All right. This is how everybody knows the RTH gap. Did anybody actually do the gap and go? I mean, how do you play the gap and go? So entry here. Stop loss is the lower low. So it dipped the tip and then it ripped. So only one 30-minute candle close. So this is, it opened bullish, right? It's a bullish gap. So you're looking for a long. And you're going to, the invalidation of trying to take a long is what? Maybe it's the second 30-minute candle close for some people. Some people, it's going to be the third 30-minute candle close. And most easily, it's going to be like a lower low. Structure change. You can't really do like a value or a settlement play because you're super far away from it. Because you wouldn't be doing a bullish retest on this because closing the gap would have been bearish. So what you're looking for is if it had done this, then that's short attempt, short attempt. And so regardless of what happened, what would have happened, we would have, and this might be the play tomorrow. You never know. You feel me? You know, Mondays and Tuesdays, you know, I'm looking for either the low or the high to be put. So if this shit gives us like an easy SFP or something, I would assume a lot of us will be in it. You know, I doubt it's going to give us that. So it's probably going to go to 92 or something if it's going to be bearish, but yeah, whether it's, you know, a short from here or a short from 92, those are kind of like levels, right? Let's switch on over to smaller time frame for a little bit, shall we? Kachaya Shibaya. Chemo says, I'm getting sick scalps. That's awesome, brother. I mean, there's so many, right? Like, you've got this. You got this. You have this. You have this. You've got this. You know, and you also have this, like any sort of, so that's a possibility. That's a possibility. Like if I was bullish, I would love that. Clean, you know, clean the base, like the Sunday shit, the weekend, the pre-market shit, right? So, you know, that would be dope. Yeah, maybe this one. So that's the aggressive long to chase. This is the better risk reward because then you know what the invalidation is. If it got back up here, that's your stop loss. So that's an easy one. If it just starts to nuke, then this is a good place or that's a good place. So you can either do the, you know, get. Oh, God, everything lines up perfect. What the fuck? Should we just keep it like this and go Latuche real quick? It's got to be testnet. I'm not in a short, no, but I only have, wait, stop the music. Bonus points to everybody. How many of y'all remember us talking about this? Do you remember what percentage of my short or long I still have? No, I'm not in a short on Sol. Shadow, yeah. But I already TP'd at the poker day, so I only have 10% running. So anybody that's saying 50%, you missed the poker tournament, yeah? I TP'd 40%. I only have 10% of my soul long running. I only have 10% of my soul long running. I closed during the poker. Yeah, and I'm not in a short. Do you guys remember what I said I would like for a short? Oh, Nanny God says, you really that bearish? I think you need to get caught up on the last couple weeks. If you think I'm bearish, you need to get caught up on the last couple weeks, right, chat? Yeah. If your question is, wow, you really that bearish? My response would be, wow, are you really that far? Are you really that behind? Make sure you're caught up on Nanny God. Uh-oh. Onani God says, I took 33% from my soul long. Nice. Pop quiz, Onani God. Where is the next place that I'm going to re-enter along? Where's the next place where I'm going to re-enter along, Onani God? Because we could talk about Trident. Okay. How well do you know me and how I play Tridents? Okay. How well do you know me and Fibonacci? Right? How well do you know me and Anchor VWAP? All right. So, like, I would get into anything in here. Like, I'm going to be honest, anything from 0.5 to 7.5, all of this. I doubt it would lose 110. So, all of that, like, if it comes back, I'm longing that hope. You're looking at possible Trident too? I love it, my guy. It would have been better if we had made a higher high, yes, but the structure, it's keeping it like this is better for the long. Right? So I'm not bullish. I'm not bearish on any God. You see what I'm saying? Just because I closed 90% of my long does not, because I just said I'm not in a short. So I just want to be clear, you know what I mean, on Anigao? And then do you remember when we were talking about all this? Like this guy? Hey, the most bullish thing that can happen on Solana is doing this. Then we're going to get that. All this is going to be cleaned. Alrighty. But yeah, like I would even be okay to like get in here if I have to. But I think what you want to do is get ready for this SFP and or this one if you're looking for a long. If you really want a short, I don't know what you're doing, like pussyfooting on the VWAP, pussyfooting on this. Maybe you're waiting for a bearish retest of this, but as you saw earlier when we did the risk profile, it wasn't that worth it. So if you didn't want to short at the failed auction here, you didn't want to short at that level right there, you didn't want to short this right here, then yeah, I think you just have to be honest with yourself. You're not really bearish, but that's okay. Let's look for some longs. Mr. Riyadh, though, what did you think about the smaller time frame breakdown of all of this? Yeah? And then what'd you think about even while it was pumping up? We identified this zone pretty well, I feel like. You know, 86.5, 86.4, 86.3 is what we were saying. And it pixel fucked 86.5, dude. Kind of weird, kind of bizarre. You know, it got rejected at VWAP. It got rejected at 7.5. This looks like your typical 886 bearish retest. So we'll see, you're leaning towards like 63% probability that we're going to get a lower low, like I said a while ago, right? So unless, bulls get back above VWAP and 7.5 and golden pocket, until they can change structure, we're going to go. As long as bears are making lower highs and lower lows, we're going to keep going with that, right? So that's like the Fibonacci kind of helping us out. In my opinion, based off of the order flow, brother, I think the stops would start really quick if we lose that 86.250, 86.3. Okay? And for me, okay, it's not about anybody else. Me personally, I'm not even thinking about a long until that 83 SFP. Okay? I know a couple of you guys are going to try to not gamble, but see if there's like a hidden bull div opportunity from this anchor point to here, right? That's valid. If you want to try to take a golden pocket, you see a hidden bull div, that's valid, maybe with enough open interest, you might be able to get another higher time frame bearish retest, so you might be able to put your stop loss and profit relatively soon. Yeah, I think it would look something like this, like chwink, 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 chwink. Like a, wait. Ah! Yeah, what an interesting little RTH session, ladies and gentlemen. That front run is crazy. That front run is absolutely crazy. Yeah, all I got to do is just kind of think about how many people were thinking to themselves, I didn't take a short yet because I thought the highs would get cleaned. I mean, look, Jesse, if it really is bullish, it's going to get above VWAP and turn that bitch into support. So let's just keep it dead simple for today. And then if we want to try to get into another long or short, we'll just play the RTH gap tomorrow. Snippy Snap says, if we start to cascade up and start taking out those highs, starting from March 2nd, how would you approach a hedge short for people holding longs from the 70s? So Snippy Snap, I've been talking about higher time frame stuff all of last week. The main idea would be a bullish retest after we get to 92. And that's just a rough zone, okay? So somewhere between like 91 and 92, I would love to get a little bit of a pullback, and then we'll do a bullish retest around 80 to 82. Okay, will we get that? I don't know. But that's something that we've been preparing and anticipating for a long time on the higher time frame. So this is it. Like, this is the last area where you would think about shorting. Beyond here, it would be 92. Yeah, so I would take a hedge short if top longs open and all the shorts are squeezed. But again, I'm thinking about longing S&P tomorrow, right? So just be careful. If it really is bullish, you should have no problem turning golden pocket into support, VWAP into support, the usual shit. So, but Snippy Snap, to be honest, if you have a long from the 70s, I would shave a little bit at 92 and then try to see if 80 holds. And if 80 doesn't hold, then 70 is going to get clean, so you need to get out. Snippy Snap says, I'm juicing on that long. Oh, I bet, brother. I bet. Yep. Just be careful, because the highest probability, even with that 70K long, even with that entry, Snippy Snap, right? The highest probability is that we're going to round trip that hoe. So I would just have some sort of threshold like 80 or 76, right? Let me ask you this. You're probably not going to keep that shit running if we lose 76. Am I right? You're going to close the whole thing if we lose 76, I bet.
Oh, look.
So it's somewhere between 76 and 80 is what I would assume is kind of where you wouldn't tolerate that lower low anymore, right? Yeah, let's take it level by level, but it was a nice little Easter pump. Let's see if we can get follow through. You know, this isn't the first time that we had a pump or a dump over the 3-day holiday weekend. So Kachoya. And then everybody Gucci Magucci on S&P. Pixel Kachoy. Pixel Kachoy. Have a great night. I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow. As always, I may be restarting the stream once in a while tonight. Actually, Kimba Mobile. I'm going to be testing the new layout over on Kimba Mobile tonight. So I'll see you guys if you're there. Otherwise, I'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Cowboy Surfer, let's chat it up. FibMath, let's go. Riddler, let's go. Hey, Sato, tell them what happens if they don't use stop loss.